Hello, my name is Mark Dabney. I am a servant of the living God. I am a subject of the kingdom of heaven. And this message is, I do not consent. Let me be clear, I do consent voluntarily to legitimate moral principles. I consent to legitimate authority. I do not consent to the beast, the Greek word theroton in Revelation 13. I do not consent to the mark of the beast or the number of his name. I do not consent to admiralty jurisdiction without proper disclosure, nor do I consent to uniform commercial code. I do not consent to the idea of substituting commerce for justice. I don't consent to arbitrary rules of basically subjective opinions. I don't consent to the idea that I could be locked up legitimately for telling the truth that a judge may not like. So let me be clear. I do respect the rule of law. I treat everyone with respect whether they deserve it or not. I do not acknowledge the legitimacy of the government to do things without the people being informed. A real republic, according to Plato, requires that people be informed. It also requires that people be moral. There's a difference between good, sound reasons and reasons that sound good. And in this system, there are stated goals and there are unstated goals. And the problem is that when the unstated goals are not exposed for what they really are, like, ka-ching, you owe us money. Well, why? Well, because you didn't follow the rules. Well, I don't mind fines going to a victims' compensation fund so that the government can be fair and impartial. But I do believe that when people share a common bias, it becomes invisible to them. So I want to be clear. I respect the rule of law, and I treat people with respect whether they deserve it or not. Shh. And the thing is, I want to be clear, I do not consent to the government immuning itself from correction. I do not consent to the idea that the government has a right to carry out things like civil asset forfeiture, say it's the law. Okay, thievery under the color of law. I want to be clear. We need the government to come clean. I'm wearing a yellow jacket, just like what's going on in France. And the thing is, I'm not advocating violence. I don't advocate any violence at all. That means the unlawful use of force. I want to be clear, I do believe that we need a peaceful revolution where people come to their senses and say, I don't agree to this. I don't agree to our monetary system that, as Mayor Rothschild said, let me control the nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its rules. I don't consent to government that is actually a for-profit corporation without proper disclosure to the people of the de facto nature of the system we wound up with. I consent to God. I consent to lawful authority, but legal yet unlawful means that while they feign that there's a moral reason for things, it's not about what they're telling us and selling us, it's about what they're actively avoiding. So the question becomes, is it really all about the Benjamins? The Federal Reserve notes. Excuse me. I strive for morality. I don't mean to offend anyone. I do mean to challenge you to stop and think and question. Like 1 Thessalonians 5:21, test all things. Thank you and have a blessed day.